Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Usayua Mesale, and today we're flying solo again. I just remembered that both of us
Exactly.
were here yesterday. Hi, Messi. How are you?
I'm very well, thank
How
you.
was your day? What
It
did you
was,
do differently between yesterday and today?
I just, I really don't know, but I think that you have an idea of how my day went.
Uh,
But, I mean, it's always a privilege, to be among the living. That's the most important thing. So I'm thankful for life, and it's good to be here.
It's actually good to be here. But, I was just looking at okay, so we had a lot of drama issues. Yesterday, the generator had, given way. and my engineer in the office called the generator mechanic to come fix the gen. The guy, that's how he opened our generator intestine and left it.
Mm.
And we have a breakfast show in the morning at 8 a.m. We resumed Wade's breakfast, so we had to rent a generator very early this morning. It was just chaotic. Thankfully the guest was understanding and, they still had a good show. But it was just so interesting how, the guest kept on asking me, how are you coping as a small business? How are you coping? I said, well, that's what we see, Amo. That's so Nigeria. But we have to get a new generator. We have solar panels, we have inverters, but it's not enough, again, because this power situation, the national grid, so there's nothing even charging, and we have to
Anything.
wait for the sun. Because again, if you use the inverters and it's down, you have to wait for the sun to come out for it to start to, it's just a lot of work. So where you think you're solving one problem, another problem is coming up. But hey, we'll live, we'll survive.
Definitely.
I'm trying to take it one day at a time. I'm trying not to be too bothered because the truth is, the situation of things around the country right now, I really can't control them.
Exactly.
All I can control is how I respond to them. So I try not to get myself worked up for something I do not have power or control over.
Mm.
Yeah, so maybe that's also speaking to someone. The situation is quite interesting. So try as much as possible to keep a positive attitude towards life and don't be too stuck up with, the situations of things around, because it can be quite overwhelming and you need to protect your mental health, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
All right,
doing.
so today we're having a conversation around the workers, the labor strike and the crisis across critical sectors. Here's what we found as today's quote. It says, economic progress is only sustainable when it is inclusive. Workers' rights and welfare should be a priority for any government that seeks to achieve lasting development. And this was a quote by our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, the nationwide labor strike precipitated a profound crisis across multiple critical sectors, including schools, businesses, airports, hotels, hospitals, and the power sector. And this has sparked an unresolved dispute over working conditions, wages, and benefits. Now, this strike has led to widespread economic losses, operational disruptions, and significant inconvenience to the public sector. So tonight we want to discuss the labor strike across critical sectors, and to provide us with an in-depth understanding of the topic, we thought, even though it's a ladies' night out, we thought to bring in two guests. Pedro Obi, he's the NANS president, and also Agnes Fumi Sesi, she's the NLC chairperson for Lagos State Council. And of course, when we open our phone lines much later in the conversation, I'd like to hear how the strike is affecting you, what your thoughts are. Do you agree with Labour on this strike? But first, let's quickly run off. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in today's news. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the International Day for Innocent Children, International Day of Innocent Children Victims of Aggression, observed on June 4th, holds profound significance for Nigeria, where numerous children are affected by ongoing conflict and violence, particularly in northeastern region due to Boko Haram insurgency. Nigerian children face abductions, displacement, and psychological trauma alongside challenges such as child labor and abuse. This day underscores the urgent need to enhance protective measures, rehabilitation programs, and educational opportunities for Nigerian children, aiming to safeguard their rights and ensure a peaceful and secure environment for growth and development. This is such an important day.
Yeah, it is
Such an important day.
it is very important, you know, because there are 1,001 kids out there who are victims of, you know, different circumstances. Some of them found themselves in war-torn zones. You know, literally, you look at some parts of the country, the northern, you know, part of the country. And when I say war-torn zones, literally, you know, the fact that we have the absence of having conventional war doesn't mean we don't have these wars going on and all of that. So kids are very vulnerable. They are, you know, they are a category of persons that fall under the vulnerability, you know, statistics, if you want to put it that way. However, it's also important that we don't forget that, you know, across Nigeria, there's been there are laws. I think that some states have actually domesticated the Child Right Act, you know, because these children ought to be protected. And I remember, you know, commemorating the Children's Day, we did talk about, you know, investing in our future means investing in the children. And that's because the children are actually the future of tomorrow. And if we have to. So I think that, you know, today is a wake-up call, you know, to all states and stakeholders and everyone to the fact that the laws, you know, Child Right Act should be domesticated. I think that the Lagos state government has done that.
Some state government have done it. I was just going to say that, you know, being a victim of, I am a victim of innocent children, what's it called, aggression, because I also experienced crisis, you know, the Sharia crisis in Kaduna. And I remember how we had to leave our homes to go and sleep, you know, with neighbors or family friends, or to go and sleep in at that time, then my mother's restaurant, we had to sleep there because we just put something on the floor and sleep, because where we were living, that area was not safe again for us and all of that. Then we finally moved. So I understand the inconvenience and the pain that these children will go through. And now imagine, mine was short-lived. So now imagine the people that have been in this perpetual displacement for a very long time, going through abuse, going through all of those things. Because again, in some of these, if you actually look at the concentration where most of these children will be kept, will be IDP camps, yes. Right? That's why I see a lot of NGOs going into those camps to go and help the children, because you would find that now a lot of abuse is going on, you know, within those, you know, what's it called, those camps and all of that. So it's a day that is important, and I'm hoping that truly, just for the sake of humanity, the government really takes this seriously and actually let's start to see value that they place in human lives, right? Regardless. All right, so what did you find for us in the news today?
Well, I found a viral video that was circulating on the social media platform across, you know, different social media platforms of a man narrating how some rail fittings installed on the second Niger bridge were being uprooted and vandalized by suspected vandals. This is actually, if we're talking about, in case you don't know, that video you're seeing right there, that's a picture of the new bridge the federal government constructed for the good of the people. But as you can see, some persons or an individual, it could be a group of persons, it could be an individual who have decided to uproot and vandalize the railings that connects the bridge, thereby subjecting, you know, suspecting drivers or drivers to potential danger, especially at night. I mean, just take a look at that. Just imagine what would happen. Well, you also need to understand that, you know, that road is a major connection bridging the city of Asaba. It's a very critical infrastructure, public good on the West Bank and Onitsha to the East Bank, and is also part of the Trans-African Highway between Lagos and Mombasa that's in Kenya, in addition to being actually the first, you know, connection for Nigeria. That road actually connects Nigeria to Mombasa. So this is very unfortunate. And I'd really like to just dwell on this for a little bit before we move away. I know that we do not have time on our side, but it is unfortunate that, you know, this is what it is. It's a public good. So usually we think that we should actually attack all of this infrastructure for whatever reason. You're hungry, you're poor, you're upset with the government, public goods. But do you know that you're not attacking the government? Because it's collective resources. It's our taxes that's used to actually construct, some of these properties. And then you go ahead to steal it. What are you doing? You're stealing from us. And in different climes, you find out that people take ownership of all of this and protect it. I like the fact that the police command in Anambra State is already investigating. We're hoping that those who actually are involved will be brought to book. What we're saying here is you can't go ahead and vandalize public goods in the name of, that you're hungry for getting back at government and what have you. It is our collective properties, and we cannot destroy them. We should be able to protect them against, destruction, not the other way around. So I will just move away for the want of time.
I was just going to say to you that, Mercy, this is not a new occurrence. So all the medians that Ambode constructed within Lagos, they've all been... So scrap metal is a big business, I hear. So a lot of these vandals, they go at night to go and vandalize, bridges, medians, different things, any metal that they can find their hands on. So I'm saying that the government is not completely oblivious that this is happening, right? So what can the government do? Because again, if we had all these people that call themselves checkpoints and police, whatever, these are the things that we should actually pay attention to. I feel like somebody needs to turn a blind eye for these kinds of things to happen, because it's a major highway. No, because there are security, for instance, let's take Third Mainland Bridge, for instance. There are security personnel on that bridge. So if they find people there at any time of the night, you clearly know that this person means no good. It's the same thing. So if we need to man those places, right? Let us man those places.
Should we not also move away from?
No, we will move away from that when we have gotten to a level, right? As it is right now, citizenry, we're not mature. We don't even understand maintenance culture.
And how many
you are talking about
vandalism?
We don't even have maintenance culture. Is it not? So, I mean, there are so many problems, right? But I'm saying that we already know that this is a major thing that happens. It's steady. It happens all the time. And some have even alleged, in some corners, some have alleged that it is still the same people that construct, that go to vandalize so that they can be called again to redo what they did. We've heard those kinds of arguments every time. So that's why I'm saying that for it to happen, somebody must have turned a blind eye. So let us move away, you understand, from also thinking that it is... Let us just be intentional about protecting some of our public properties.
I understand, but you also look at a time where the country is actually bleeding. We're here complaining that we don't have resources to pay, Nigerian workers and all of that.
And then we also know that,
and then you also know that we're shortly. If you look at how many police officers do we have in Nigeria?
That is what I'm saying.
If you look at the number of police officers, the police officers that we should use to police, communities where you have, people moving around, we have to now take out some men.
That is why I am saying that.
Why can't we be responsible?
It's not about responsibility right now. We know we have hoodlums in Nigeria. There's a lot of lawlessness, right? So that's the more reason you must protect what you already have. Let's not let's not pretend. It's just like you know that there are rascals around your area. You leave your gates open. Of course, they will come in and they'll vandalize. So that's what I'm saying. So the government also has to be intentional about protecting some of these properties. Because for it to happen, somebody must have turned a blind eye. You can't go and be removing that thing and nobody would see you. Come on. All right, let's go on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to discuss NLC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I think assessment will be more centralized. So what it means is the fact that people study because of assessment, right? People study so that they can pass their WAEC and jump and get into school. So what will happen is the fact that the exams like IGCSE, WAEC, and all these examinations will find common ground and become more centralized, because students now are not studying only from their own country. They are studying from other countries as well, having access to content from other countries. So I think education will become more centralized with technology. I think education will be more accessible, more cheaper, and be more flexible, so that children in marginalized communities will be able to have access to education because they can now work and then go to school at the same time. They are not locked within the four walls of the classroom because of the flexibility that technology offers. I think that there's just a whole lot of good that can happen as a result of education technology.
All right, thanks for staying with us now. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, they have suspended their industrial action over a lack of consensus on a minimum wage and the hike in electricity tariff for 1 week. Union members say that they are relaxing the action for 1 week and not suspending the strike to give federal government 1 week grace and test their sincerity. Joining us to shed more light on this would be Pedro Obi. He's the NANS president, while we have Agnes Fumi Sesi. She's the NLC chairperson for Lagos State Council. Thank you. Are you there? Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, hi Pedro. Hi Fumi. Thank you for, hi Agnes. Thank you for joining us this evening. All right, so first of all, what is the current state of the NLC strike? Are we truly on, what's it called, suspending the strike for 1 week?
Yes, thank you very much. And we want to appreciate Nigerians for having, supporting our struggle, and want to thank all the workers for being united in this cause. We have come out to show our displeasure against government insensitivity, and we thank God that government has risen to the occasion. What they said they cannot do within a record time, what they said it will have to extend for like 2 months. By yesterday meeting, they have now agreed that within the next 1 week, it is achievable. And it is on that note, when government have shifted their ground, that they will not only look at the issue on ground and resolve it within 1 week, they also promise that they will also shift from their proposed 60,000 naira to a better wage for the workers. And it was on that note that
sorry,
there was a
Agnes.
joint.
Sorry, Agnes. Let me stay with you there before you land that point, because you are sounding like a very, very old record, right? Like, this is the same thing we hear all the time. And that's why I feel like when you say that the workers are united, you're thanking the workers, I don't think it's everybody that is, in agreement with this strike. Because again, it's like we're playing the same soundtrack over and over again and expecting a different result. What makes you think that this particular 1 week that you have given the government and this strike action that was embarked on and the suspension and all of that will make any difference in the scheme of things?
Yes, I did not agree with you with your statement that all the workers are not together. Go on the street and ask questions. Ask the workers generally how the economy, the current economic situation is affecting them. They will tell you. Not only the worker, average Nigerians, they are not happy about the socio-economic reality. Let me tell you, we have given the government the benefit of doubt for that 1 week. There has been emotional blackmail on the part of the government to the labor side. And within the last 24 hours, we have seen how everything has tried, how we have tried to bring government on their new, practically. Government work and everything in Nigeria, we try to bring it to a total halt. And it is on that note that Nigerians started appealing to labor, that many people that are on the sick bed, they are affected. School children that are writing WAEC, they are affected, and so many other things.
Okay.
People that want to travel international routes, they are also affected. Everything, even we were on a total blackout, electricity,
All right.
the national grid was shut down. So it is under indices, and the government have now seen the seriousness and the purposefulness in which the workers has come out. They have never seen us being so united in the recent past. And they have seen that we are all united because we have come together to say with one voice that we need a new minimum wage.
Okay.
Okay.
A wage that will be.
So I would actually, bring Pedro in at this point in time to ask him what he thinks about this strike. But just before then, I have a question for you that you can actually take out time to think about. I would also like you to take us through, after, we have Pedro answering, what exactly, are the issues that, were the reason why you guys embarked on this strike? I beg your pardon, the labor going on strike? Is it just for the minimum wage? But that's a question that I hope you answer, shortly after you have Pedro. So, Pedro, what are your thoughts on, this recent strike action by the labor union? How would you describe it? I also know that you're also part of a union as well.
Yes, thank you once again for having me. And on behalf of the entire Nigerian students, we are in solidarity with the organized labor. We are in solidarity with the NLC, the TUC. And in recent past, I think this is one of these strikes that have been so successful that have been organized by the organized labor. For young people, I think this is the very first time that we are seeing a united mass action by the organized labor. And this is something that should be encouraged. It's not something that probably a unit will be pulling out, the other unit will be coming in, the other unit will be pulling out. So I commend the organized labor for coming out in mass to stand for what is right. Because I know probably some people will say the essence or the reason why everybody is united on this because it affects them directly. But no, it didn't just affect only the worker, because by the time there is the living wage approved rightly by the federal government for Nigerian workers, it trickles down to the society in general. Okay, because this blackmail of labor, organized labor.
So what do you think that this strike has actually achieved right now? What has it achieved? The fact that the conversation is being relaxed, that the strike has been relaxed, and conversations will continue endlessly for another 1 week without knowing the exact amount. I mean, what exactly has this strike action really achieved? Is it the fact that we have actually shut down the entire national grid and everyone is in gross darkness, and that businesses are suffering and that people are suffering? I did like you to tell me exactly, what this strike action has been able to achieve by the NLC.
Okay, you see, that is one of the problem Nigerians, the misgiving, the insecurity or lack of trust the Nigerian masses have against NLC. And probably that is what is currently about to play out. But because everybody have high trust with respect to this current situation, so nobody wants to be carried away by probably what has happened in the past. Where
no, but are we? No, Pedro, please let me pause you there. Is it a bad thing for us not to trust labor? Because we know in time past, right? We call off a strike, there's a backdoor meeting, and all of a sudden that strike is called off,
That is the problem.
No, but that has always been that's why I'm saying that has always been the precedent. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying, I asked Agnes the same question, because what makes us think that this same cassette that we are playing is going to be different? Literally, these are the things that we do all the time. Let me land the point. It's almost like we are doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Some people have called that insanity.
Yes, I get your point. Even around February, March or thereabout, as president of NANS, we addressed press when labor first talked about going on strike. I would say there's need for dialogue. We ask federal government to immediately go into negotiation with NLC, with the labor union. But of course, you know, dilly-dallying and the rest, and that is the problem we're having. The lack of trust, the mistrust, the trust that Nigerians have on NLC has over time been misused. And I am very sure that the leadership of NLC will not blame any Nigerian who, in their own wisdom, are having misgiving or not trusting the leadership of NLC. But from what has happened so far, whether we like it or not, we are making an headway.
Okay, Pedro. Let me explain what has happened so far, because I saw a lot of videos and complaints, a lot of people, you know, because now it is okay for us to shut down things, but people are in the hospital, people have died, right? Literally, right? We don't even know how far. We've not measured the costs of these actions that we have taken, because it is okay for us to call on a strike and things are happening. Even at that 60,000, I don't even think 60,000 is a feasible minimum wage based on the current situation of things and the cost of living in Nigeria, right? But I'm just saying to you that, are we measuring the cost? Can we not find alternative ways to solve this problem with the federal government and minimum wage without having to embark on a strike? Like everywhere, the entire national grid shutting down, everything, it has affected a lot more that we can quantify and measure. That's the point.
Yes, you see, but of course, we understand, and I'm very sure that even labor, the organized labor, understands the people they are dealing with, which is the government. The lack of sincerity on the part of government over time, not just this government, but previous government, where they will go to negotiation, agree, and they will not implement. And that is why probably you see labor, when they finally go on strike, people will be crying of whatever that should have happened and didn't happen. But these people are also given ample time for this issue to be discussed and settled over. But you bear me witness that so many things has happened, so many things have been written, resolutions have been written over time, but none of these things are taken to final conclusion. None of them are being executed on the part of the government. That is what we also have inside of the ASU. So you see, the only language, unfortunately, the only language that federal government listens to is down tooling. That is the only language. It's unfortunate, but we just have to face reality. So labor going on strike, we shouldn't blame them that labor are going on strike. Yes, we may have issues on the fact that, okay, the lack of people no longer trust labor because they will say they are going on strike and midnight they will call up the strike, dashing people's hope. The question is, like you rightly asked, what is the essence of going on strike at all if the essence of the reason have been issued?
Okay. So, Agnes, I did ask a question earlier. Yes, please. I'd like you to take us through. I'd like you to take us through. Agnes, can you hear me,
Agnes,
please?
can you hear us?
Heaven and earth are again.
Oh, I think we're having troubles with Pedro. If Agnes, can you confirm if you can hear us? Okay, you know what? Let's go on a short break. When we come back from that break, we are going to continue this conversation. We'll also open our phone lines to hear what you have to say. Stay with us.
Efficiency in terms of electricity distribution. People should be able to see this power being generated. You know, when you see that power is generated, you wouldn't really complain in payment. However, the hike in price was quite sudden. Yeah, the next clarifications that it only affects about 1.9 million Nigerians, that about 10 million more are still under subsidy. And it begs the question, are they not Nigerians? The so-called 1.9, are they not entitled to some form of subsidy? You know, this should happen in phases, not outright like 200% increase. That is so, will I say, uncalled for. And looking at the fact that subsidy has been removed on petroleum products like a year ago, bringing about this one now makes it difficult for everybody at the same time.
What has happened to the Band A customers is that the tariff has been adjusted to reflect the cost of the service. So let's even price commodity properly. I mean, there is a conversation around whether electricity is basic amenity or utility, or whether it's a commodity. In the days when we were swimming in petrodollar, 70s, 80s, and things like that, you could think along that line, but not today again. Electricity is a commodity. It has to be sold. So when we get more money from it, we can then develop the power sector to the point where customers will be the ones to say, no, this is the hours of electricity that I want, because that's what I can afford. So if it is night time alone, you can enjoy the electricity, all well and good. I mean, most of us travel out of this country, and we know that people don't play with their utilities. They pay for it. In Nigeria, we play with our utilities. We not only play with our utilities, we even vandalize. And we want a stable power sector. Where is that done?
Thanks for staying with us. I think, because for some strange reason, I don't just believe in strikes, right? And when I hear Pedro saying that this is the only language the federal government understands, I beg to differ because, but let me invite our callers now. If you are just tuned in, thank you for staying with us. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone line is also now open. The number to call is 07025007749. Do you believe in this strike action, and do you agree with Labour, on the strike action? Please remember to just send in your comments, and also please turn down the volume of whatever device it is that you're listening in from. But I hear that Pedro and Agnes is back. You wanted to ask Agnes a question.
Of course, Agnes. I wanted Agnes to take us through exactly why, the NLC is actually embarking on this strike. What exactly are the issues on ground? Do we have lingering issues, or are there current issues? Maybe, a refresher would definitely do.
Thank you very much. The reason why Nigeria Labour Congress and the TUC, why we embark on the action, was that the major reason, the current wage that we enjoyed elapsed on pre-19th, and we were due for annotation of a new wage. Since the removal of subsidy, since last year, moved the subsidy on the PMS has already become.
Sorry, the network is a bit muffled, but I hear we have John on the line. Agnes, we'll try to come back to you, but we can't hear you. The network is shaking a bit. John, you're live. Let's hear your thoughts. Do you agree with this strike? Hello, John. Oh, okay. I think we'll have to cut you. Agnes, can you speak up now? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Now, the TLC and TUC, I'm not sure they are working in common. This has been the normal scenario. They will bring strike. We all expect them to go further to get the results. At the end of the day, Nigerians will be disappointed. Even with these that have just happened, we were expecting that it's going to last a good torture for 3 days. What people have been dying in hospital from time. A lot of things have been happening. If they have held on to this, and then they decide to ask the cost of governance, to have the ratio between what they have, what they are talking of, 500,000 or 600,000, to run with the cost of governance, and how they are picking their own money. They said there's no money. They have money to fend for themselves. They have money to do many things. Politicians have their way all the time. And you are telling us we don't have money. And they will go, they will come back. I bet you that this 1 week has no result.
So, John, are you insinuating that they should have stayed with the strike? They shouldn't have left the strike? Suspended?
Yeah, they shouldn't have left the strike. They would have maintained to sustain it and use that opportunistic advantage to ensure that they ask government for several things to save Nigerians. Ask them of their cost of living. Ask them they should come down on their cost of living, even on their allowances. And let's see the truth of the whole thing so that we can rhyme the whole thing together with that 400, or we come down to the value of what they want us to be.
Your point is noted. Thank you so much, John. Okay, Agnes, please go ahead. If you can speak up, let's hear if your network is better now. Okay, we're having trouble with your network. We'll just move. You know what John said, right? That they should have stayed on the strike. The question I keep on asking is that a government that is not able to pay 30,000 minimum wage, they will say anything. And this is why we keep on having agreements that are not held, right, or fulfilled, or whatever the case may be. We already see that there is a systemic problem. You understand? So I would think that the kinds of demands I would want to hear from Labour, demands like, how do we get this economy better? Because you see this issue around minimum wage. We've been on the matter for a very long time. And we're not seeing any end in sight. It's going to be the same thing. They will call the strike off, then they will suspend the strike, and they will say, okay, they promise and they don't fulfill it. So my point is, instead of demanding for things like this, because these are the things that we've demanded over the time, what can we do to get our economy running? No, How can we start to be intentional about earning, forex, so that we can strengthen the economy?
I think that's a very valid point that you have raised, because some people argue about the cost of living, the cost of governance. It would be important that Labour takes the case of the cost of running governance, the fact that if you look at the recurrent expenditure and the capital expenditure, but however, you can also take out the fact that, strike action, or strike, as it were, has been used by countries of different, countries actually use strike as an action.
You are talking about countries
but
the leadership is quite different.
No, can I land? Now, it's a tool that has been used by a lot of people over time to demand, the needful from governance, to demand policies, to demand change and what have you. And that has worked for several climes. And, if you also need to look at it, it's also within the right of the union, okay, or the workers to demand, because after a period of 5 years, there's the salary, act, or the wage act that has expired. It has an expiration date. It's supposed to be reviewed after a period of time. And so it actually expired sometime, I think it's a 2019 act. Of course, the likes of Falana has actually spoken to that, saying this has actually expired. And over time, it's expected that it be reviewed. Now, if you also remember, what she was trying to say was that in 2023, shortly after the subsidy was removed, the government, within the period, actually added an additional, there was a review, upward review of 35,000. So it is expected that prior to this time, that civil servants should have been going home with 65,000 naira as a minimum wage. But the question now is how many state governments actually paid the minimum? Because now if government is negotiating 60,000, I don't understand. What are you saying? There was already an upward increase of 35,000 naira to the already 30,000 that was on ground. So if you add 35 plus 30, how much is that? That's 65,000 naira. So at what point are we now talking about, the issue of saying government is putting it at 60,000.
Okay, Pedro, let's try Pedro if he can hear us, because Agnes is saying we can. Pedro, are you there? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, the issues, Pedro, can you hear us, please? Yes.
Okay, I think we're having I think this might be our own network issues. Yeah, go ahead.
So if you look at that now,
Mercy.
What I'm saying is, it's valid to say that they have to fight for several causes.
Mercy.
I mean, over time, there's been argument that we should not only talk about, salary and all of that, but it's within their right to actually do that.
For a country that is not productive. No. How do you expect? Because let me explain.
I get you. Not productive. You also need to understand where the argument.
I understand where the pain is, because what John said is that
not productive.
You see,
why then are we subsidized? If you look at the cost of running governance, is so much. Let's even look at it. If you want to actually go through.
Hold on. Let's take Olayemi
and look at
let's take Olayemi. Hold on. Oh, okay. Sorry, we lost him. Go ahead.
So if you want to do, for example now, you can run through your phone and let's see how much has been, allocated, the budget, what it is that we have anticipated to spend. We're talking about the capital budget. Now, for every country, we all know that every country that wants to move forward literally puts their heart. They say, wherever you see your money going, that's where your heart is. And so when we begin to trace where our money goes as a country, what we're spending, the budget, the tool is how you allocate money. We see where we allocate our money to. The capital, it is not the first time. Our capital expenditure has never gotten a chunk in a very long time.
It's supposed
and
to
that's
be
where that's
deserving of.
supposed to be, the capital budget or the capital expenditure is supposed to be addressing issue of development, infrastructure. So for every nation that wants to move forward, you will see where they are allocating monies to. You will look at the capital expenditure. But no, it's the recurrent, expenditure that's taking money. And that particular, budget or expenditure caters for the cost of running
Mercy, are you
governance.
agreeing?
So I am saying
Are
that
you agreeing with Labour on this strike?
we cannot constantly, I am not to this other side or to this side. I'm saying that we can always find a balance. Government cannot constantly make an excuse and say we don't have money, but then they are living, a flamboyant life. They are spending so much, right? If you see, that's what I'm saying. So you can't constantly say you don't have money and you're not allocating money to the hen that lays the golden egg.
Okay, let's bring it back.
Do you
Labour
understand?
strike, right? And
Yes.
right now, the crisis across critical sectors across Nigeria, right? As it is right now, we are seeing that these strike actions are not helping us. Because, you see, Nigerians are not ready to suffer. Nigerians are not ready to suffer. Nigerians like soft life. You see what John said? If you want us to drink Gary, no, it's true. If you want us to drink Gary, everybody should just tighten their belt and let us drink the Gary and drink it. If we know we are drinking it for 1 month, let us drink it for 1 month and wait and let them find a solution. But you see, for every time you do this and somebody goes behind to say they want to have a meeting and they pause it, you are done for. I was in second university. We had a lecturer that did a very horrible thing to us. He didn't come to lecture for 1 day, gave us an exam from maths, because that exam, I don't know where those questions came from. Guess what happened? He gave us those exams, we protested, we shouted, we were not writing the exam, we left the exam hall. Somebody went and sat down back. Because that person went back, we all went back to sit down. And in the end, it was a massive failure, tsunami failure that happened. My lecturer came back, one of our lecturers came back and said, you guys are all fools. That next time, when you do that kind of protest, nothing should make you to go back to go and write that exam. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the Labour. No, so every single time they call for a strike action, people go out, people strike, and in the end, they don't go back and say they're having a meeting. So we need to face choose our struggle. If we want to drink Gary, let us drink Gary. And let us know, no, it's true. No, we must choose our struggle, because already this methodology of these breaks and whatever is not working. Apparently, it's not working.
No. So, but if I get, I totally get the point that you're trying to make, or you're making at this point in time, that this strike, and this has also been, the voice of a lot of persons who are saying, hey, if you have already started this deed, if you have already started, then would have continued. Unfortunately, I don't think that we've ever had any strike. I don't remember the longest strike that Labour has had, apart from the time I read in 1945 that lasted 44 days, and that was pre-colonial era. Of course, the demands were not entirely met, but, the impact was also felt, because the issues have never been different. This issue of, salary has not started today, and minimum wage, it has been way back. But, the longer it stayed, at least it yielded some kind of result. But the issues are actually encompassing, and the truth is, sometimes there are also theories and thoughts out there. Some people believe that over time you have members of this labor union compromise, because some of them go back and then they begin to thwart or truncate the entire plan. If the plan was to say, hey, we're going to agree, because like you said, you have a very valid point. It's not the very first time Labour has gone on strike. It's not the first time ASU and all other different unions have actually gone on strike. Whenever they go on strike, they come back shortly after and they say, oh, we're having a backdoor meeting. But that's why I was asking the question, what has this strike yielded? What's the impact? Because now the strike has been relaxed. They are saying we're relaxing the strike. That's a tongue twister. We're relaxing it. for about a week, and then we will continue the conversation. To what end exactly is this? And that's why I was hoping that Agnes would have been here to help answer,
us, right?
You know,
I was
to help us
say
understand to what end is this kind of, you know, conversation. And are you guys, because, you know, it is neither here nor there, and you cannot be found wanting. You have to be somewhere.
Mercy.
Even though I am allowed to be found wanting on this particular...
Mercy, can I speak now?
Go ahead.
You see, I've not really followed Labour in the history, but I remember clearly the Labour of Adams Oshomole, right? And it was like literally right. I for some strange reason, I never believed any of these, you know, transactions was actually for the good of the people. It was first of all to make themselves popular. It was to be in bed with the people in authority, because at that point you are Lord and Master, right? So maybe Labour, I'm just saying that Labour should be intentional about changing their strategy. Because this strategy of strikes, okay, look at it now. The entire gridlock, everything that is happening, do we even understand how much it has cost people? There's just too many things happening. Thankfully, WAEC, I hear that it didn't stop. People still wrote WAEC exams. But in the end, right, if that WAEC exam had failed, for instance, let me give you a consequence. If WAEC had failed, remember that WAEC is not limited to Nigeria. Nigeria would have had to cough out money to reprint new sets of questions that would be taken across all West Africa, you know, just because Nigeria was going through a strike.
They knew they were not going to make that fail.
They can't.
They knew.
So that's why I'm saying that.
I'm sure they knew, you know, they knew the sectors and areas they were, you know, grappling with. But you see, at the end of the day, everything has, you know, there's a cost, there's a price to pay for everything. And literally, we've also had those arguments where some people say, you know, at some point, we need to pay the, you know, some people need to pay the price. And it is what it is. Do you know that a lot of people on the other side are still very displeased with the fact that Labour has decided to cut the strike off? Because they feel like, hey, we're ready to, you know, go through the pain. We're ready to, you know, be in darkness for as long as we can be in darkness. Or
we are not ready to be in darkness,
you know,
Mercy.
It's achieved. You know, but to be
Mercy.
very honest,
you know why I'm saying that? You know why I say that I'm not ready to be in darkness? This solution that they are trying to bring up, which is the increment of minimum wage, is not a solution. You're just trying to. There is a problem with the tree. You are trying to solve the problem by treating the leaves. No. Let me finish, Mercy, because as it is right now, why we are having this problem in Nigeria, the economic hardship and everything, is the fact that our country is not productive. If I want to have a fight right now with the government, it is a fight on how do we move ourselves from this, what's it called, redundancy in our productivity, and how do we start to, ensure that we're earning forex outside of, petroleum products. Let us be intentional.
No, so to be very honest now, you can't entirely blame Labour. I mean, Labour is on this other side of the divide. And if you want to look at majority and minority, you would count Labour as a minority, because on the other side of this divide, Labour is the one who constantly gets into, why is it that the Nigerian government cannot respect themselves and keep to agreement? Why is it that it's so difficult to respect laws when people come together? No, not be matter of speak pidgin English. No, not be matter of
how we. No, you are asking. No, wait. You just asked the question. Why can't the federal government respect themselves?
Because no matter how much Labour, we're saying that even agreement that Labour gets into, you sit down on the table and the government will sit down. It is not the first time. Since we were born, we're getting old. Labour will come, unions will come, they'll sit down on the table and government will say, we will do this. But they get out and they don't do it.
They do not have the capacity to do it. That's the point.
But they do have the capacity, because there's been several times. What about the national confab? What are we talking about? What exactly is the problem here? We're saying we don't have money. Have we not talked about, let's sit down and restructure this economy? Let's sit down and say, okay, this system is not working. It wasn't what we talked about yesterday, that we have to be going, that states have to go to the center to be collecting handouts. That system is not working. Can we look at states, that states are differently endowed, they have natural resources? Can states look inward? Can we restructure the economy so that states can now control their own resources? But then we're now saying that, oh, we can't trust the people, because there are several arguments. Some people say, oh, you can't trust state governors. If you look at what they're already doing with the local government, they want authority, but they're not allowing the local government. They might begin to use the police as a resource. They might begin to embezzle a lot of these resources. So it's not working. Nobody's agreeing to do anything.
Did we not have the national conference and say, let's restructure the country? Has anybody looked at it? Are there not several proposals and committees? Have we not said, let's diversify this economy? Have we ever thought about all of that? So exactly what do you want Labour to do?
So that is what I'm saying, that Labour should go and fight it differently.
How would they fight it?
You can't,
there are different ways of fighting it. The government never hears. I tell you that as much as we don't agree with strike, but strike action has always been. And to be very honest, that's what people understand. Down tool. When people down to, that's the only time the government hears. Unfortunately, it's a trick. They just get you to get back to work and all of that. We've already seen the government coming to say, holistically, I just keep asking myself every other time, what exactly is the conversation that the people are having? How do you pay somebody 35,000 naira exactly in this economy with a lot of things that's going on?
Okay, I think we have Pedro back because let us calm down inside the studio here. Pedro, please come in because, I mean, we had a bit of network glitch. Can you just help us understand this thing? Because me, I don't think this strike is going to yield anything. We will come back to have this conversation, but let me hear your thoughts. What assurance is the federal government giving you right now to say that this thing would actually, there might be a difference this time around?
You see, like I said earlier, I am actually not part of NLC. So
you are Nance.
But are you not in support of this strike? Are you in support?
Yeah, of course we are. Of course we are. Like I said, we are in full solidarity with NLC. But you see the misgiving, the mistrust that Nigerians has over this calling of strike is not misplaced. Nigerians have every reason not to trust what is currently happening, judging by the history of federal government and even the labor union themselves. But I want to believe from what the sincerity of purpose that has been built up with respect to since on Sunday night yesterday that this strike started, the sincerity of purpose that have been in this whole thing, I want to believe that whatever it takes, federal government will not want to toy with the resolve of the NLC.
Okay, Agnes.
Federal government will not want to toy with the resolve of Nigerian people.
Okay. Sorry, I wanted to quickly, because we're running out of time. Let me hear Agnes. Do you also agree with Pedro on this?
Well, thank you very much. Nigeria Labour Congress, we don't just set out to go on strike, but there are instruments that we use once negotiation breaks down. And one of the instruments that we use as a last resort is that strike action. It is only when government refuses to listen or to yield to the positive demands of the workers, that is when we go on strike actions.
Agnes.
Let me tell you, and let me create our stand, that these 5 days a break for them to go back to the negotiation table, we believe very strongly that it's going to be productive. Government has seen the reasons why they have to go back to the table and be sincere with whatever they want to offer labor. If within the next 5 days, government does not come out with anything reasonable or positive, everybody is already tired of the situation in the country. So it's like a bottle up of anger and annoyance. And with that kind of anger and annoyance, we will come out more invigorated, more than what government have seen within the last 24 hours. We will come out in full force. And it will even be more harder than what government have seen.
But
so
why?
We are just appealing.
But we
are using this opportunity to appeal to the government to do the needful. All the government at all levels, those are, the different arm of government, the legislative arm that represent the interest of the people. Let them now, they are comfortable. So they don't think of the people that they leave our constituency to represent us. But yet, they are not thinking about the pains that Nigerians and the workers are passing through. This time around, we are not talking about only the minimum wage. We are also talking about the services that government is giving to us, about the electricity tariff. Government should return the price back because it is no longer sustainable and we cannot afford that 225 naira tariff on the kilowatts. And not only that, government is trying to create more gap between the rich and the poor. They are the one creating more poor people in this country now because they are impoverished Nigerians on daily basis. And now you want to bring about that dichotomy. That is why you are now creating band A, band B, band C. So people that does not have the wherewithal to now pay more for the band A, they will now be in perpetual blackout,
Darkness.
total blackout. This is unacceptable for us in Nigeria. And we are telling government that government is the one that created all this negativity that we have on ground. They are the one that you also look for and seek for solution and make Nigerians to be comfortable. If you are not going to make us comfortable, please alleviate this suffering becoming unbearable. In
Thank you.
fact, the government has pressed our neck. They should allow the poor to breathe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well said. I don't believe in strike, but I believe in what you just said, and I'm hoping that we might see a difference this time around. Thank you, Agnes. Thank you so much, Pedro. It's been amazing having you. Thank you so much, Messi. We ran out of time. We will continue our buzz off air. Now, please remember you can follow all our conversations online. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed our quote from today from our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, it says, economic progress is only sustainable when it is inclusive. Workers' rights and welfare should be a priority for any government that seeks to achieve lasting development. That was from President Olusegun Obasanjo, former president. Now, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen.